Hey guys, welcome back to the Sports Stuff video. Today we are talking about the NFL Draft. That's right, the 2026 NFL Draft is less than 1 month away, and it's been a bit since I recorded a video. So from I don't know, end of January, about the end, towards the end of the playoffs to the beginning of March, I recorded, edited, and set up a video every single day. It was very exhausting. I have my 9 to 5 job, and I come home and edit for 2 hours, a slideshow, record for 30 minutes, edit for another 30 minutes. It was my entire day. So I took a few weeks off during the NFL free agency period. There will be a video coming shortly going over the totality and the new depth charts before the NFL draft does happen. But most importantly, I really want to talk about the NFL draft and do a mock draft post NFL free agency. So if you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into the video. So obviously at number 1, this will include trades, by the way. This will include trades. So starting at number 1, the Las Vegas Raiders. They're going to grab their franchise quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. Nothing crazy. This is the pick that everyone's going to be doing. They officially had him in for a interview yesterday, I believe. They officially scheduled an interview and sat down with them outside of what they've already done. This is their top 30 visit. So Fernando Mendoza is officially in Las Vegas, interviewing with them. I just don't think he's going to leave. I think he's going to go to the NFL draft and go right back to Las Vegas. So they get their quarterback. I like what they can do with him and Clint Kubiak. I think it's a really good fit for him. And I do think that's going to be a great scheme for Fernando Mendoza and Ashton Jeanty to team up and dominate in the NFL. Next, we have the New York Jets. You know, they had a pretty solid offseason. I don't hate what they've done, but I do think there's one glaring issue they need to fix, and that's edge rusher. And I'm going to be grabbing David Bailey. So the reason I went David Bailey over Ruben Bain, because is Ruben Bain a better player? Sure. You could say that. I don't know if I agree with you, but sure. You could say he's a better player than David Bailey. The issue is Ruben Bain has 3.5-inch shorter arms than David Bailey. We have seen in the NFL, there is certain measurables that do matter. And at edge, what matters is your 3-cone, because that's how, your bendiness. And the other thing is your arm length. Once you bend, can you reach out with your long arms and try and smack a ball out of the guy's hands? I'm going with David Bailey because, one, he showed up. He led college football in sacks last year. He is dominant, and he has very long arms. I believe he's the 87th or 88th percentile, if I remember correctly. He has good arms. The Jets with Aaron Glenn, I think they are lacking that premier pass rusher, and I do think they can get that in David Bailey. Another reason I went David Bailey over other guys, Arvell Reese. I just don't see him as an edge rusher, man. I'm kind of cooling on the idea of him as an edge rusher, and maybe more just as a dominant linebacker, right? What is wrong with having Fred Warner at linebacker? Everyone would love that Fred Warner. Why can't Arvell Reese be more of a Fred Warner, maybe a Darius Leonard more hybrid, where he's a very good run defender, very good ball hawk, and it's not a pass rusher, and that's not what the Jets need. The Jets need a dominant pass rusher, and I think that guy's going to be David Bailey at number 2. Then at number 3, the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to do something that's very unpopular, and I'm okay with it. I'm going to go Francis Mauigoa at number 3. I'm going Francis because I think with the hiring of an offensive head coach, I do think you need to start building this offensive structure for a future quarterback, right? At right tackle, it's Jonah Williams. Former Cincinnati Bengals first-round pick, Jonah Williams, is still their right tackle right now. That's not acceptable. That's not a winning right tackle position for the future. So what I'm going to be doing instead is drafting Francis Mauigoa. He's giving my starter right away, week 1. And now next season, when you go and get a quarterback in the 2027 draft, you have Paris Johnson at left tackle, Francis Mauigoa at right tackle, kind of what the Saints did and what the Giants did and what the Jets are doing. Let's build this offensive line really good, so once you get that quarterback in that situation, they don't have to struggle their first year because of constant pressure is being generated on them. They're going to struggle because they're a rookie rather than struggling because they're a rookie on top of a bad offensive line. So we got Francis Mauigoa to solve that right tackle issue. I do think he's a top 5 pick worthy guy, so I would go him at number 3. Next, the Tennessee Titans. I am going to grab Arvell Reese. I do think with Robert Saleh, he knows how important having that dominant, why is it, let me try something else. Nope, okay. He knows what it's like to have a dominant linebacker, and I do think that is Arvell Reese. Again, what is wrong with having a dominant linebacker? Absolutely nothing. Robert Saleh, he had Fred Warner, he had Dre Greenlaw in San Francisco. Then he went to New York, he had Quincy Williams, and he had, who's a linebacker that just had a fantastic season that he helped draft? Jamien Sherwood, like he's had good linebackers everywhere he is. In Tennessee, they have Cedric Gray, so I think Cedric Gray and Arvell Reese can be that linebacker duo for the future, and so that Robert Saleh can truly build this team around. Then at number 5, because I think I've kind of cooled as well on the Giants going linebacker only because, Jim Harbaugh, his entire career, has always had dominant linebacker play. More importantly, they've had dominant safety play. And John Harbaugh has been on multiple podcasts and interviews recently saying that Caleb Downs is a Hall of Fame talent at safety. And I do think with Kyle Hamilton's emergence these last 4 years has shown John Harbaugh how important having a dominant, strong safety is in the NFL. And I do think that's going to pay dividends in grabbing Caleb Downs at number 5. He's only 21 years old. He can play that rover role, that power nickel that, Nick Eamon plays, that Kyle Hamilton plays, that a little bit of Devin Witherspoon as well as rookie season. I do think that the Giants, they want to grab their version of that in Caleb Downs, and John Harbaugh is the guy who's been drafting a lot of those guys. So I'm going to grab him at number 5, mainly because, again, in a lot of interviews, he's saying that he thinks Caleb Downs can be a Hall of Fame safety. Then with the Cleveland Browns at number 6, I do think this is where the first trade does happen. The Cleveland Browns, they get a trade down with the Dallas Cowboys, because at number 6, there's a lot of players I do think the Dallas Cowboys want. However, I think there's one that makes the most sense. So the Dallas Cowboys, they're at number 12. They've been very open of trading up. I don't think it costs as much as they want to pay, though. So they got to trade number 12, obviously. For number 6, I think they have to throw in next year's first-round pick from Green Bay and number 92, and they're going to get back, where did I have it? 146 and a 7th. So I think this is the trade package that you can see happening. So the Dallas Cowboys, they give up a first, a third, and a future first for number 6, 146, which is a 5th-round pick, and a 7th. So they're moving up they move up 6 picks. They give up a future first. They give up a third. They get a 5th-round pick back and a 7th. It evens out a little bit. So truly, they're just trading that 1st-round pick in the future to move up. But this incentivizes the Cleveland Browns to get another top 100 pick. So you're gonna offer that trade. All right, I'm gonna force that trade. So this is what I think is gonna happen. Right, I think the Dallas Cowboys at number 6 are going to be heavily incentivized to move up and try and get their guy on defense. Because right now, the Dallas Cowboys defense is struggling, and I think it is going to be Sonny Styles, right? I think at defensive line, they have a solid rotation. Diamond Ezeraku, they lost Sam Williams, which does suck, but they have great D-tackle play. Their secondary is a little bit improved than it was last year with the additions they've done. Now you add Sonny Styles to that linebacker room. I think now you truly have that thumper that you can believe in at linebacker. So you grab him at number 6, you move up for him, and the Cleveland Browns, they trade down because I think there's a lot of guys on their board that they're okay with at number 12. I think number 6, they don't need a linebacker. I think there's going to be multiple teams trying to trade up. I think the Miami Dolphins going to be a team that wants to trade up. The Cincinnati Bengals want to trade up. I think the Rams want to trade up. So they trade back to number 12. They get that extra first-round pick in the future. So in 2027, the Browns now have multiple first-round picks. And the Cowboys, they keep their future first-round pick and their number 20 pick this year to try and still do something with that instead. Then at number 7, the Washington Commanders. I think Mansour Delane makes the most sense for them. I think they need a dominant outside corner. They already cut Marshawn Lattimore, who they traded for last year. I do think Mansour Delane, a great boundary corner, my number 1 corner in this class. 6 foot, 190, true ball threat. Has improved every single season of his college career. I do think he's my number 1 corner, and if it's a great need, great press man corner. I think they're going at number 7. Then at number 8, the New Orleans Saints. They have a lot of issues. I do wonder what they would need. See, what sucks that I did this draft already. I'll actually show you guys right here. I did this draft already. It's been 20 minutes of just turning. It's just turning. That's all it's doing. It's very annoying. At number 8, I think Ruben Bain makes a lot of sense, right? Opposite of, you lost Cam Jordan, you lost Mario Davis. This defense is going to take a step back. So I think grabbing Ruben Bain, again, a little bit shorter arms, but I do think that because of the draft need and kind of the positional value for the Saints, you pair him next to Chase Young for the future. That's a solid edge pick for the New Orleans Saints. Then the Kansas City Chiefs at number 9. I think this is a team that wants to trade down. At number 9, you have Jeremiah Smith, you have Carnell Tate, obviously great players, but you don't really need another wide receiver. You just signed Kenneth Walker to a 3-year deal. And this is not a team that really uses Dylan Finneman. I don't think they would actually use him as he should be used in the NFL. So I think they'll be trading down. I think the team that makes the most sense to trade up is going to be the Detroit Lions. Oh, actually. Yes. Yeah, it's going to be the Detroit Lions. So from number 9 to number 17, they have to give up number 17, number 50, and probably a future third to move up those 8 spots. So let's just say that's what they're going to do. But no matter what, I think the Detroit Lions will be interested in moving up with the Kansas City Chiefs because they want to grab a tackle of the future. Because from what all the reports that I've been seeing is that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are very interested in moving Penei Sewell over to left tackle. In fact, just yesterday, he had an interview with media, and he said that Larry Borom, who they signed in free agency, is a very interesting right tackle prospect. And that tells me, oh, why would you sign a guy that you think is an interesting right tackle prospect? Because you're moving Penei Sewell to left tackle, just like Tristan Wirfs was. So I do think Spencer Furneaux makes the most sense. He's a plug-and-play right tackle, the number 1 right tackle in this class, only 21 years old. I think he's a great scheme fit for what the Lions always want to do. Great guy when it comes to run blocking, great off-play action as well. I think he slots in immediately at right tackle. You move Penei Sewell to left tackle, and now for the next 10 years, your tackle duo is set for the future. I think the Lions makes a lot of sense for them, and then kind of guarantee that they're good for the future. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, they have a couple of needs. Chase Brown is a solid running back, so Jeremiah Love is definitely on the board. But I do think they're going to, as we know what the Bengals love to do, they stick with their own guys. So I actually am going to go with Dylan Finneman. I think Dylan Finneman makes a lot of sense. I think Zach Taylor, obviously once they moved off Lou Anarumo and got a different defensive coordinator, they kind of changed how their defense runs. I think that they are more open versus the Chiefs to changing how they run their defense and just trying to, get the most out of their players. I think they actually would move him to nickel and play that power rover role. As you saw in college, he kind of played that at Oregon. Just like he replaced Nick Evenwari when he left for college. So I do think that Dylan Finneman is the guy I'm going to grab at number 10. It improves their defense, massively improves their defense. Not only that, also improves their secondary and their kind of linebacker play as well, because Dylan Finneman can kind of play at sub linebacker. So for me, him at number 10 makes a lot of sense for the Cincinnati Bengals. At number 11, the Miami Dolphins. They did trade away Jalen Waddle this week, so I do think their pick is going to be Carnell Tate. True wide receiver, I think could be a wide receiver 1 in this class. Do I think he's a dominant wide receiver 1 worthy of a top 10 pick? No. If I'm being completely blunt with you guys. Oh my God, I keep burping. I do not think Carnell Tate is going to emerge as a all-pro wide receiver. I think he's a solid wide receiver. Long term is more of a wide receiver 2 than he is a wide receiver 1 in the NFL, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with grabbing a great wide receiver 2 long term. But on the Miami Dolphins, he immediately slots in at wide receiver 1. This is someone who could easily have 800, 900 yards immediately in the NFL, multiple touchdowns. You have Quinn Ewers throwing him the ball. I do think that with Carnell Tate, it does help this wide receiver room get improved, because right now you have Tutu Atwell and Jalen Tolbert fighting out for wide receiver 1. He slots in immediately as your wide receiver 1 day 1. You grab him at number 11. I think you run to the table and put that card in, because not only do you get him at number 11, you screw over an AFC opponent in the Cleveland Browns, who I do think would be very enticed to grab Carnell Tate at number 12. But their decision is made for them, and they grab Monroe Freeland at left tackle. Currently, left tackle is a glaring hole in the Cleveland Browns offensive line. They signed Zion Johnson, they signed Elton Jenkins, they have Luke Whippler and Zach Zenser on the roster. They could still get Joel Bitonio back as well if he doesn't retire yet. Then at right tackle, they trade for Titus Howard. So I do think that left tackle is the biggest glaring hole on their team. So if they can grab Monroe Freeland, slots at left tackle immediately. You don't need to start him immediately, right? You have DeJuan Jones, who if you want to, you can play him at left tackle until he gets hurt as usual, and Monroe Freeland can start. But I think at number 12, it allows you to kind of get someone who could truly be that player for you at left tackle. Then at number 13, the Los Angeles Rams. I do think there's a glaring hole for them. I think it's tight end. And I'm going to grab Kenan Sadiq. Great run blocker, very athletic tight end. I think he broke combine records for his athletic ability. He's a great receiving threat as well, good route runner, only 21 years old. Is he the best guy in the world? No. But I do think he gets a little overhated by college football fans, because they expect Kenan Sadiq to be like Kyle Pitts at Florida. That's not who he is, right? That's not who he is. He's a good tight end, and I do think that the Rams, this is a team that desperately needs help at offensive weaponry, because you have Devontae Adams, you have Puka Nacua, and outside of that, you have no receiving threats. Kobe Parkinson's a fine tight end. You re-sign Tyler Higbee, cool. But Kenan Sadiq could be someone that you build for the next era of the Rams football, because you're going to be grabbing a quarterback either in this year or next year's class after Matthew Stafford. I think it makes a lot of sense to go and grab Kenan Sadiq to build for the future with Puka Nacua. Then number 14, I hate to do it. The Baltimore Ravens, they got Jeremiah Love. It sucks. I know. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But I'm telling you right now, if they can have 1 or 2 years of overlap of Derrick Henry and Jeremiah Love, I'm telling you, Jeremiah Love could be a dominant Hall of Fame running back. If he gets a year or two of development and learning underneath Derrick Henry, building this NFL body, seeing how he does things as a professional, we could have Derrick Henry 2.0. Very fast, very physical, can take any run for 95 yards for a touchdown. I truly believe Jeremiah Love is one of the better players in this class, but because he's a running back and his other positional value, I just don't see him as that Ashton Jeanty level of prospect. But at number 14, that's solid. You know, maybe a little lower than some the other people would like him to go. But got him at number 14. He goes to a very run-heavy offense that's going to use him. And for the first year or two of his NFL career, he'll be splitting carries with Derrick Henry. I think it's a great situation for all involved. Lamar gets another running back for the future, and Derrick Henry can now take less and less snaps, allowing him to be more and more healthy throughout the season. Then at number 15, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this will go best edge rusher available. Akeem Mesidor. He's an older prospect. What is he? He is going to be 25 years old at the time of the draft. That's very old, honestly, for a rookie. At the same time, the Buccaneers are trying to win right now, right? They are trying to win a Super Bowl this season. So him being 25 does not matter because for the next 4 years on his rookie deal, they want him on his prime. They want someone cheap who can get after the quarterback and can do it efficiently. Obviously it took him a very long time to break out in college football. The question is, does he need to be 24 years old going against 18-year-olds to be successful? Let's not answer that, right? He had a good run to the national championship. So Akeem Mesidor, grab him at 15. I think it works for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They get their edge rusher number 1 for the next 4 years, who can come in immediately and compete immediately and be a starter. Then number 16, the New York Jets earlier in the draft got David Bailey. I think they'd actually worry. They lost wide receiver, went to the Panthers from the Houston Texans trade. John Mechie. They lost John Mechie. They have Adonai Mitchell. They have Garrett Wilson coming off an injury. I think wide receiver is actually a bigger need than people want to say. You grab David Bailey. All this offseason has been spent on defense. I'm going to grab Makai Lemon at 16. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's a different skill set than Garrett Wilson. He's more of that crisp route runner and he's kind of that shifty wide receiver. He's 5'11", 195, still only 21 years old. This one I do think is line up all across the field and is a great, great guy after the catch. It's different than what they got in Adonai Mitchell, the deep threat, and Garrett Wilson, that big body wide receiver 1. This one can be a different skill set for whatever quarterback you do eventually get. Obviously, Geno Smith this year, but next season, once you do draft someone, I do think Makai Lemon, Garrett Wilson, and Adonai Mitchell is a scary trio of wide receivers. Then the Kansas City Chiefs at number 17, they traded back. I think they're going to grab a more prototypical safety in Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Yes, he could play that rover role, but I think he's more that prototypical strong safety. Obviously, less snaps in the slot, more in the box. You have Shamari Connor, who's been fine. He's not been a bad strong safety for you, but Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, honestly, once you traded Trent McDuffie, it's going to suck. Your secondary is going to take a massive hit. You also lost Jalen Watson. And while the Chiefs never really invest heavily in corner, they do invest heavily in safety. That is one thing that they do invest heavily on. Whether it's Justin Reed, the Honey Badger, they consistently have really good safety play, and they pay premium dollar for it. So I do think Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is the next guy in that line to not only get highly drafted, but also get that big-time deal once it comes up in a couple of years. Then number 18, the Minnesota Vikings. I think corner's a big need for them. I'm going to have Avion Terrell. Great man corner, great zone coverage guy as well. I do think that with having Brian Flores back as defensive coordinator, you need to invest better in your secondary. That's something that really did plague them this year, was not great secondary play. And if you watch Avion Terrell, yes, 3 touchdowns allowed each of the last 2 years. He is a very shifty, physical corner, and I think that Brian Flores can really mold him into an elite outside boundary threat for his defense. He has the foundation to build on. Then number 19, the Carolina Panthers. I'm gonna go Jamon McCoy. Obviously at corner they have Mike Jackson, J.C. Horn, and Charles Smith-Wade. But Jamon McCoy is a great boundary guy to build on. But most importantly, he doesn't need to play immediately. Obviously, he missed all of 2025 with injury, and in 2026 he's going to be recovering. You can have him recover slowly, and in 2020, at the end of 2026, beginning of 2027, that's when Jermon McCoy really does make his impact on this team. So you're basically getting, in my opinion, a top 15, top 10 prospect at number 19, all because of injury, and you don't need him to start immediately. You have Mike Jackson, you have Cho Smith-Wade kind of waiting in the wings for Jermon McCoy. I like it. I think it makes a lot of sense. And for them, they get their quarterback number 2 of the future. So with the Dallas Cowboys, obviously at number 6, they grab Sonny Styles. They're sitting at number 20. I think there's a lot of different ways that they could go. I don't think it'll be wide receiver. They have CeeDee Lamb. They have George Pickens. I don't think it's offensive guard. I don't think it's linebacker again. I don't like any of the edge options for them. I think what they're going to go with is going to be right tackle. So currently on their offensive line, everyone is on a rookie contract except for Terrence Steele. And Terrence Steele is the weakest link of their offensive line. Blake Miller from Clemson, he's 6'6", 315, has been a really good, stable right tackle for Clemson these last couple of years. And the Dallas Cowboys, I do think, could love Blake Miller at right tackle. Great pass blocker. And again, he doesn't need to start immediately. You have Terrence Steele, so if you want to sit Blake Miller for a year, which I think would be best for his development, you let him sit behind Terrence Steele for a year, and in 2027, you have your franchise right tackle once you start paying Tyler Guyton and Tyler Smith. Then with the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 21, I'm gonna go Kenny McDonald. Obviously with what's his name? With Cam Hayward getting older and older every single year, they haven't really addressed what their future at D tackle is. I'm gonna go Kenny McDonald. Obviously at nose tackle you have Keanu Benton, but at D tackle with Cam Hayward, you don't have anyone for the future behind him. So I'm gonna go Kenny McDonald so he can sit for a year, learn from a Hall of Famer, and next year if Cam Hayward does eventually retire, you have this guy waiting and growing behind him. So we're gonna grab him at number 21, building for the future. Then number 22, the Los Angeles Chargers. What could they do? Interesting. I mean, Oliver Vega Ione is right there. They're an interesting team. I think they have a lot of needs. What's their depth chart? Let me look at their depth chart real quick. So I think at number 22, the Los Angeles Chargers, if you look at their draft picks, they have 5 picks. So I do think they would like more picks. So I think I'm gonna trade back. And a team that I think would trade up is the Buffalo Bills. Right here you have Oliver Vega Ione. Honestly, the Chargers, they could use Ione as well, as they don't really have an option besides Trevor Penning, which is a joke. But Buffalo Bills, 26 for 22. I think you only have to give up like 91. Maybe instead you can do 126 and like 182. But for that, they get more draft picks. The Chargers, so boom. Let's go back to the Chargers. I want to see how many draft picks they have now. So they went from 5 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 draft picks. So that's awesome for them. They're able to gain a little bit more of their treasure trove. The Buffalo Bills, they trade up. They'll have Oliver Vega Ione. Obviously, they re-signed Connor McGovern, their center, over their right guard and David Edwards. And with Ione, they can grab him at right guard and move immediately over. And now the offensive line is really, really good. You have Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance, not Matt Milano, Spencer Brown, and Deion Dawkins with Ione. I really like that. I think Ione's a great pass blocker, very athletic guard as well. So I think it'd be a really good run blocker for them. So for them, they finish off their offensive line, and they can kind of push the can down the line, because eventually Matt Milano is going to get replaced. Not Matt Milano. Deion Dawkins got to be replaced. He's come up on 10 years in the NFL, and I just don't really think he's as good as he once was. But that's just me. Sitting at number 23, the Los Angeles, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think a trade back makes sense. The Eagles, I think a trade back makes a lot of sense. And I think it's going to be with the New England Patriots. So the Eagles, I don't think AJ Brown's getting traded, if I'm being 100% honest with you guys. I don't think they get traded. I think it's all just really dumb rumors. There's no reason to trade your wide receiver 1. Does that make a little bit of sense? Yes. For the opposing team. But for the Eagles, no matter what, they're going to get worse. You're going to get what? Number 31, number 27 in the NFL draft. Cool. You're not going to get a top 10 pick to replace AJ Brown. So I'm going to keep him, but I'm going to trade back from 31, from 23 all the way to 31. I'll only get 95 and maybe 171. I don't know. Something like that. But the New England Patriots, because they lose out on AJ Brown, because I do think that's the team that's trying to get AJ Brown the biggest. But they're going to move up instead of trade for AJ Brown. They're going to move up. They're going to grab Jordan Tyson. Because I do think if Jordan Tyson was healthy and could consistently stay healthy, he'd be the wide receiver 1 in this class, right? Last year, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, almost 15 yards per reception. That's fantastic. This year, though, he had nagging injuries, still put up 711 yards, 12 yards at average, 8 touchdowns. This one, I think, could be a really good wide receiver in the NFL. And the New England Patriots, obviously, they go and grab Romeo Doubs. They have Kayshon Boutte. They have Demario Douglas. None of these guys are true wide receiver 1 boundary guys. That's Jordan Tyson. Let's get Drake Maye another weapon so it can truly be a game-breaking threat. And I think it makes a lot of sense for them. They move up, don't give up a whole lot. Instead of trading a first-round pick for a 29-year-old wide receiver, you trade a first and like a third to move up for a 21-year-old wide receiver. So, makes a lot of sense to me. And the Eagles, they still get more draft picks. The Cleveland Browns at number 24. With the Browns, I do think it's going to be offense. I think wide receiver makes the most sense. And other wide receivers, it's Omar Cooper, Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion. I'm not a big fan of Casey. I think he drops the ball a little too much. Doesn't have great hands. Not a true outside boundary threat. More of a gadget guy. I'm not interested. Omar Cooper, I do like. I just don't know if he, 6 foot 204. The Browns already have multiple 6 foot and like 6'1" guys. I want to get someone who's a big body threat. Now, separation, I do worry about with Denzel Boston. Maybe put him more as a wide receiver 2 with Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver 1. But he can draw more attention away with safety play. So I'm going to grab Denzel Boston, 6'4", 209. Absolutely great deep threat. Really good big body threat as well. But more importantly, he has good route running. That's the most important thing, is that his route running is really underrated. So I'm going to grab him at number 24. The Browns, they get a big body outside receiver that they add to their wide receiver core. So now you have Cedric Tillman, you have Jerry Jeudy, and I do think a trade could still be in the works for someone else. But the Browns, they walk away with their left tackle and wide receiver of the future. That's a great haul for what they were able to get out of it. And a future first. The Chicago Bears at number 25. I'm going to go TJ Parker. Is he a great sack guy? No, he kind of regressed as his years went on in the college football. I thought 2023, he actually had a really good year. And then 2024, obviously the peak of his career. Then 2025, took a step back. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes guys plateau. It's, this isn't all cyclical where no matter what, you're always going to get better. But he was a good run defender, still a pretty solid pass rusher. And put him in Chicago with improved D-tackle play than he had in Clemson. I'm going to grab him at number 25 and feel very good about it. Then number 26, the Los Angeles Chargers are back on the board after trading down from number 22. Man, I'm going to just go with Emmanuel Pregnon. Yeah, I'm going to go with Emmanuel Pregnon. I'm going to say they reach for a guard. Obviously, corner, in my opinion, is on the board for them at number 26. But I'm going to go with Emmanuel Pregnon. You cannot go into a season with Cole Strange and Trevor Penning guaranteed starters at your offensive line. I'm sorry, you can't do it. So Emmanuel Pregnon can basically guarantee start at left guard, and then Cole Strange and Trevor Penning compete for the right guard position. That I'm fine with. But now you have Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater, Tyler Biadasz, Emmanuel Pregnon. Those are 4 guys that I truly believe can start and feel very good about. Then at right guard, they fight it out for right guard. It's whatever. But at left guard, they got Emmanuel Pregnon, and they're feeling good about it. Then number 27, the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to grab Caden Proctor. The 49ers, Caden Proctor gets a little overhated. As the season went on, he got better and better. The rumors were he weighed 400 pounds almost at the beginning of training camp, and throughout the season slimmed down. And towards the end, as you can see, towards the end, he was a lot more consistent in these last couple of games. Obviously, beginning, hit or miss. But in the end, he was very consistent with left tackle. He's also 6'7", so very tall, just like Trent Williams is. This is my Trent Williams replacement eventually. So you signed Cole McKivitz last year. Trent Williams, he's he really wants to be traded. He wants to get cut because the 49ers don't want to give him an extension and guaranteed money. So they grabbed Caden Proctor to kind of guarantee that with or without Trent Williams, we have a left tackle that we can build for the future. Then at number 28, the Houston Texans. I do think it's going to be D-tackle. I'm going to grab Peter Woods from Clemson. He is a great run stopper, solid pass rusher. But in my opinion, other D-tackles are still left. He is the best guy on the board, right? Peter Woods, Caleb Banks, Christian Miller, Lee Hunter. I like all of them in the first round. Caleb Banks, obviously, just because of injury, missed a lot of time. I think he could have been a really high first-round pick. But I'm going to go with Peter Woods because we know he's a good run stopper. The Houston Texans, they have Daniel Hunter. They have Will Anderson. They don't need great pass rushers at D-tackle. They need great run stoppers. So we're going to grab him at number 28. Then at number 29, the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to grab Max from Arizona State. Let's grab a great right tackle, right? You cut Jawan Taylor. You have Josh Simmons at left tackle. I think this team need to get younger out of the offensive line, because obviously with come on, let me go to the Chiefs. Hold on. Kansas City Chiefs. Where to go? Where to go? Where to go? There you are. With the Chiefs, last year you got Josh Simmons. You have a great interior of Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith. You're taking a shot on a guy in Kingsley Samatatia, but Wanya Morris, you cannot guarantee the start for you at right tackle. Now, you can have Wanya Morris start at right tackle, or Jalen Moore. Sorry, it's Jalen Moore from the 49ers. Jalen Moore can be a starter if you want, but Ian Hanchett, whatever, Max from Arizona State, he now gives you a really true good shot at a future at right tackle. So now Josh Simmons and Max can be your tackles of the future while you develop them. You still have Wanya Morris. You still have Jalen Moore as those guys who can come in if they do struggle still. But this is kind of like, hey, for the future, this is our protection for Patrick Mahomes to stay healthy. Then at number 30, the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, Miami Dolphins. Obviously, you grabbed Carnell Tate earlier. I am going to go corner. I think Chris Johnson, because you gotta remember, their new head coach, former defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, he knows what it's like not to have corners or safeties that really are producing for you. And the Miami Dolphins have one of the worst secondaries in the NFL right now, day one. So we're gonna grab Chris Johnson after we grabbed Carnell Tate earlier. So now we have a cornerback number 1, who I think is a great corner. This is someone who genuinely is sticky, is constantly shadowing receivers and getting his hands in passing lanes. He's only 21 years old. This is a true ball hawk at corner. I'm going to grab number 30. Another guy at corner I think could make a lot of sense as well is Keith Abney. Another dude who is shining right now. A true junior, only 21 years old. 5 interceptions, 4 touchdowns the last 2 seasons. Another dude, excuse me, oh my gosh. I keep burping. Another dude I think could easily make the NFL in the first round and truly make impactful plays day one. Then at number 31, you're back at the Philadelphia Eagles. I think I'm going to do it. One more trade. I think the Eagles, they're going to trade one more time. And they're going to do it with, where are they? The Rams. That's right. I'm doing the LA Rams. They're going to trade a future first and 61 for number 31 and let's say 95 or whatever. A bunch of late round picks. I don't care. I think what most importantly matters is the Los Angeles Rams are going to trade up and they're going to grab their franchise quarterback of the future. They're going to grab Ty Simpson. I've been saying if anyone in the NFL could genuinely appreciate and develop Ty Simpson, it is Sean McVay. Ty is a very, very smart player. Every interview you hear about him, it's how smart Ty Simpson is, how he understands football, can diagnose coverages. That's Sean McVay, man. That's Sean McVay. Give him a year underneath Matt Stafford as well. He has a good enough arm to really make powerful throws. He's 23 years old, a little bit on the older side as a rookie. But I'm telling you, the Rams, I don't think they're never gonna be good enough to go and get a top 5 quarterback. It's just not gonna happen. They're never going to be good enough to do that. So the Rams this year, they're able to grab their tight end of the future and their quarterback of the future, securing that their offense for the next 10 years with Puka Nacua, Kenyon Sadiq, and Ty Simpson. You have a foundation now of your franchise for the next 10 years. And Ty Simpson is someone that I do think with a year behind a Hall of Fame MVP caliber quarterback with one of the greatest head coaches of our generation is someone that can be succeed with them, and they can get him for a steal at number 31, because I just don't think anyone else believes in him as quarterback 1. They can get him at number 31. Makes a lot of sense. He doesn't need to start year 1, which I don't think he can. I think he's more of a projection as a starter than, again, I thought he should have went back to school. I said Ty Simpson should have went back to Alabama. He didn't. He comes out. He can now sit for a year behind a Hall of Fame quarterback with a Hall of Fame head coach coaching him. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Let him get fully healthy. Whatever surgeries he needs to do, let him do them. So next year, he can come out and be a full-time starter for you, and you feel very comfortable about it. Then at number 32, the Seattle Seahawks. I do think it's going to be a corner. It is going to be Keith Abney, who I was just talking about earlier. I think it's another great corner. So it could be a real sticky, I can say great run defender as well. This is consistently good. And with the Seattle Seahawks, they lost Tariq Woolen. Josh Jobe, they re-signed. But Josh Jobe, he's fine. He's not really a great guy. But I do think that Mike McDonald could really take advantage of a physical corner like Keith Abney out of Arizona State. So we're going to grab Keith Abney at number 32. Please analyze this one, because I would like to go over it. It's not going to happen. Oh, it did it. It did it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I was really worried that it wouldn't do it. So yeah, this is my NFL mock draft post free agency. This is what 3.0, 4.0 version, but a couple of changes, obviously. Three Ohio State guys in a row is kind of crazy at 4, 5, and 6. But the Browns trade down from 6 to 12. The Cowboys move up. The Detroit Lions, they trade from number 17 to number 9. They grab their right tackle of the future, and they move Penei Sewell to left tackle. The Bengals, they get a dominant safety in Dylan Thieneman. The Miami Dolphins, they go grab Carnell Tate, a different wide receiver one than they had last year. Monroe Freeland goes to the Browns after the trade down. They grab their left tackle of the future. Jeremiah Love goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Yuck, I hate it. I would be so mad about it. The Jets, they grab their wide receiver 2, Mekhi Lemon. The Chiefs in that trade down, they still get a great safety who's more that prototypical strong safety than Dylan Thieneman as that power rover role that's taking over the NFL. The Cowboys in their second first round pick, they grab Blake Miller to replace Terrence Steele for the future. At number 22, the Buffalo Bills move up and they grab Olavide Ione from Penn State to replace David Edwards, who they lost in free agency. At number 23, the Patriots, they strike out on getting A.J. Brown, but they trade up with the same team that they're trying to get A.J. Brown from with the Philadelphia Eagles, and they get Jordan Tyson. The Browns, they don't get Jordan Tyson, they don't get Carnell Tate, but they do get Denzel Boston. The Chargers, with that trade back with Buffalo, they grab Emmanuel Pregnon to be the left guard of the future. Then with the Kansas City Chiefs at number 29, after that trade with the Rams, they grab Max, their right tackle from Arizona State. That's their future right tackle. Then to end the draft, you have Chris Johnson going to the Miami Dolphins. That's their cornerback number 1. Ty Simpson with the trade up of the Philadelphia Eagles. They trade back, get a future first, and they can grab Ty Simpson to sit for a year, and in 2027, fully take over the job with Sean McVay. Then number 32, the Seattle Seahawks get their number 1 corner opposite of Devin Witherspoon, and a true ball hawk guy who's going to jump routes and for the next 5 years kind of anchor that quarterback number 2 opposite Devin Witherspoon. So yeah, obviously David Bailey as well go number 2. That's pretty cool. But if you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe. If you disagree with one of my draft picks, let me know in the comments down below what you think, and I'd love to talk about it. I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.